So before we start, as of now, you know the agenda that we are going to start with solving some prelims questions as well as mains questions. We are talking about GS, so GS prelims and GS mains, so that we can get understanding about the right approach, right? So let me tell you about the structure of this webinar. And the structure would be, first, I'm going to talk about some prelims questions, okay? Then I'm going to move to mains question. Then I'm going to talk about topic-wise strategy. Then I'm going to recommend one document to you, okay? And then I'm going to taking up your questions, okay? A short introduction about me. So my name is Shashank, and before coming into teaching for UPSC aspirants 7 years back, full-fledgedly, because I got to know that teaching is my domain. I realized one fine day. Before that, I was working as consultant in Office of Minister Social Welfare. So I have been on the both sides of the border, okay, in bureaucracy as well as teaching by passion. So I try to bring both of my experiences into my lectures, okay. So that is about me. Going ahead, so we are going to attempt questions, okay. So I will display a question, you will read and try to attempt. Then I'm going to explain the right approach, right? Let's hit the questions directly. Okay, let's start. Question says, which of the following statements is are correct regarding the freedom of speech and expression? And when I'm displaying this question, I'm also catering to those aspirants who have not started their preparation. Okay, there may be some of you who have attempted prelims, who have gone through GS syllabus, and some of you might be here who have not, gone through syllabus in a proper manner. Okay, but you are also going to get benefit because I'm going to give you approach. Okay, the pinpoints which you should keep in mind. Okay, when UPSC throws these kind of questions in front of you. Okay, so question is, which of the following statements is are correct regarding freedom of speech and expression? So freedom of speech and expression, it means this question is from polity section, and polity section from which part? This article 19, right? So article 19 has this provision, freedom of speech and expression, right? Now, point is, how should you cover this article 19 so that you can handle any kind of question which is asked by UPSC, okay? So article 19, how many of you remember article 19? How many of you remember the kind of freedoms or rights which are given to you in article 19? Before you attempt, you should understand what is the keyword of question. Keyword or key concept, what is that? Freedom of speech and expression. Okay, this is one right. Okay, now you should know where it is mentioned in Constitution, what is there in that article, and what is its application. Because when it comes to polity, there will be questions where you are going to score directly if you know what is the provision mentioned in Constitution and what is its application. I'm mentioning two sides. What are the provisions mentioned in Constitution and what is its application? And the core objective of this webinar would be to let you understand what is the difference between knowing and applying. For clearing UPSC, getting good score, you need to, be pro in both the aspects, knowing and applying. Now, in Article 19, which is in part 3 of our Constitution. Constitution is the basic rule book of our nation, right? From which our nation's polity work, these governments work, the relation between people and government is based on this book, which is called Constitution. So in this, in part 3, consider chapter 3, there's one fundamental right, which is mentioned in Article 19. Article 19 talk about rights related to freedom. Okay. When it comes to freedom, I'm promising you that you are going to remember the whole of Article 19 right now. All kind of provisions mentioned in Article 19, freedoms mentioned in Article 19 right now. Okay, just listen to me. No need to, look at this question. We're going to handle it. Okay, consider this example that we are in this class, okay, and we are in offline mode. Okay, although online is quite comfortable, right? Interactive, but consider we are talking about pre-COVID era. Okay, so you all were sitting in the class. Consider you are, say, 100 students sitting in the class, and I was about to enter the lecture room, but I was not there. So at this point, what happened? Saptarishi, one of your friend in the class, he stood up and he shared one thought that UPSC has decreased the number of seats this year. So in recent notification, he said that there was one time when number of vacancies in UPSC civil service exam was 1500, there were 1300, but right now it is around 800. So this was the speech, this was the content of the speech of Saptarishi. Okay. How is Saptarishi doing that? Saptarishi is doing that because he's having freedom of speech and expression. So whatever he deems right, he can express that. And who gives him this freedom? Our constitution gives him this freedom. And which article? Article 19 gives Saptarishi and all of us this freedom. Whatever you consider fit for your expression, speech, you can do that. Okay. Although there are some restrictions. Restrictions means it's not like you can express anything. Okay. It's not like Saptarishi can talk bad about, the spirit of India. It's not like Saptarishi can do hate speech, incite mob to, to do some action against some other community. You cannot do that because there are some restrictions also. But the point is, what happened in this story? First, Saptarishi stood up and expressed his view that, oh, this is going bad. UPSC has decreased the number of vacancies. So this is first step of Saptarishi. Now, what happened? Saptarishi's thought, Shashank Tyagi sir has not come into class yet. Let's do one thing. There was a time 2-3 years back when some of the UPSC aspirants stood up, revolted on streets, and by their action, government changed certain policies. For example, increased the number of attempts for general from 4 to 6. The age, maximum age, was increased from 30 to 32 for general category. So how it happened? It happened because some students used their freedom of speech and expression on the roads of Delhi. Okay, and by their action, government has to do something. So that's how this change happened. So Saptarishi shared his idea, and Saptarishi said, let's do one thing. Let's make this expression before government and to tell them that since around 4,000 seats of IAS officers are vacant, why can't we do that? We increase the number of seats because 4,000 seats are vacant. Then we need around 4,000 IAS officers. Okay, just IAS officers. Then there are seats for IPS, IRS. Then why per year we are having around 800? So this was the expression. Then what happened? Saptarishi went downstairs along all of few people and he said, let's assemble here. Let's do, let's do some discussion here. And there will be other students also coming because we are in Karol Bagh. Okay. There are many coachings over here. All aspirants must be having same kind of concern. Let's discuss here. So second step of Saptarishi was to assemble all of what was your action was. All of you assembled. Okay. Why you assembled? Because there can be, more people. When there are more people, more discussion, then you can put more pressure on government. Okay. So you assembled. Now what happened? Many people were coming, passing by, and they were asking, what are you doing? Why you have assembled here? So Saptarishi said, let's do one thing. Srija, can you bring some banner? Let's make an association. Srija said, let's do that. The third step was you made a banner, and that banner was saying All India UPSC Aspirants Union. So you build an association. Why you build an association? To get yourself some recognition that you have assembled for this purpose. Okay. So All India UPSC Association, Students Union, right? Now, what happened? You were assembled in Karol Bagh, but you want to make change in these policies. You want to increase the number of seats. So can you increase number of seats by 500, 600 students assembled in Karol Bagh? No. Now what you thought? All of you thought, let's do one thing. Let's move to Parliament. In front of Parliament, we are going to protest, and because when we protest in front of Parliament, then it is probable that leaders would listen to us. There will be media coverage. So now what you did, so first was speech and expression, then you people assemble, that is right to assemble, then to form association, right to form association, then you form association, then what you did, let's move to Parliament. So that is right to move freely within territory of India. That is one freedom. That is one freedom mentioned in Article 19. Okay, I'm explaining you as per the chronology mentioned in Constitution. Okay, so right to move freely in the territory of India. That's why using this right, you move to Parliament. Now what happened? Cars were coming and going, but no one was giving you due attention. So you thought that these senior politicians are thinking that we are students, we are going to, we are here, but we are going to go back to our PGs or homes by evening. So they're not taking you seriously. So now Saptarishi said, they're not taking us seriously. Let's tell them that we are not going to move from here until and unless our demands are met. So let's sit here. Let's settle here. So from this weird example, you can remember the next freedom was right to settle in any part of India. That is one freedom, although exceptions are there. But right to settle was your next action. And this action came from this right to settle in any part of India, right to settle, freedom to settle. So you settled there. Now what happened? You are not getting media coverage because media wants something crisp, something which can give them TRP, something interesting. So now Saptarishi said, let's do one thing. Let's start making pakoras here. And why pakoras? Because this will be a symbol of our protest, because people would all India will see how educated youth of India is bound to make pakoras on Parliament Street due to the situation of employment in India. So you started this profession, let's make pakoras as a symbol of protest. And now you got the media coverage. Oh, what is happening with these people? Let's listen to them. Now this media is, creating some pressure on government. So last right which you used was right to choose your profession. So our Article 19, subclause 1, this is the last right which says right to choose your profession. So you chose your profession to make pakoras. Okay. Now, the story was first speech and expression. Speech was given. Next, assembled. All of you assembled in Karol Bagh, right? Right to assemble peacefully. Okay. Not with weapons. Okay. Right to assemble peacefully. Next, right to form association. Association was made. Next, right to move. You move to Parliament. Then right to settle. No one was taking you seriously. You settle. Next, right to choose a profession. Coming to this question. So why I gave you this chronology? Because even if you are clear with what is written in Constitution, what provisions are there, okay, are you able to attempt this question? Now check this question. First statement is saying, in the Menaka Gandhi case, the Supreme Court held that freedom of speech and expression has no geographical limit. Now, in this storyline, I've mentioned the provisions, the rights which are mentioned in original Constitution. But we have not talked about geographical limitation, right? So it means that when it comes to questions from polity, UPSC play on interpretation. Okay. So now, one is interpretation. Okay. Second is some cases. Why some cases? Because these are the cases in which these interpretations are done. Okay. So you can make your polity section short by imprinting on your mind three things. I'm repeating this again. If you want to make your polity section short. For prelims, I'm talking as of now. Okay. You should imprint 3 words in your mind. What are the 3 words? Abbreviation which I always say in my classroom programs is PPI. Okay. When it comes to excelling in polity part in prelims, remember PPI. It's not PPE, which most of you have heard in this corona period. It is PPI. What is PPI? First step to excel polity question is that you understand principles in polity. It means certain questions are based on principles. For example, right to freedom of speech expression is written there. But what is the principle behind? There are times when UPSC has asked question on liberalism, democracy. So these are some principles of polity. Okay. So we should excel on principles. And how you are going to excel on principles? I would advise read at least 2 NCRTs. Class 9th, class 10th, democratic politics 1, democratic politics 2. Later you are going to read political theory wala NCRT. But these NCRTs are going to build your base on first P, that is principles. Okay, because questions are directly asked from NCRTs many times with respect to principle, because these aspects are not mentioned in Lakshmikant. So what pillar Lakshmikant is focusing upon? Lakshmikant is smoothing your preparation. Lakshmikant book is smoothing your preparation for second P. What is second P? Provisions. Okay. So provisions means what is written in Constitution and what does it mean? This is provision aspect of polity. Okay. That is very well covered in Lakshmikant. It is considered as one of the best books. Okay. For civil service preparation. So for provisions, Lakshmikant. Then interpretation means there are times when a particular provision which was mentioned in Constitution was interpreted in different way. For example, there was a time when right to life and personal liberty was considered as an important right, but its area of, I would say, if its expansion was not that much. It was considered, okay, this is right to life and personal liberty. It means no one can take away your life without any, without proper procedure mentioned by Constitution. It means right to life has prominence. But interpretation happened and it said, no, it is not just right to life, it is right to dignified life. A right to dignified life means it's not just that if people are living in India, it means right to life as per Constitution has been upheld. It has been given. No, until unless you give them dignified life, it means you have not done your duty. It means for dignity. It means when I say dignified life, how can we lead dignified life? Can we live dignified life without education? Can we live a dignified life without education? Yes, no, keep commenting so that this is an interactive session. Consider that you are in classroom with me. No, it means education is part of a dignified life, right? And this dignified life interpretation was done in Menka Gandhi case. Okay. In Menka Gandhi, when Menka Gandhi filed a petition in Supreme Court, in that case, because Supreme Court is also interpreter of Constitution. Supreme Court interpreted that Article 21 of our Constitution, right to life, is not just right to dignified life. Dignified life means education. We cannot live dignified life without education. Second, can we live dignified life without clean environment? No, we are humans, right? We need clean environments. If our environment is not clean, it means it is against our human dignity, right? So that is why this interpretation was also done in Menka Gandhi case. So interpretation is also one important pillar of UPSC, which assures that you are going to get every question correct. Because when it comes to polity, I'm 100% confident that if you go through this PPI, then no question can beat you. You are going to beat every question. Okay, because questions are direct in nature if you got this PPI. Okay, now The point is, this question, if you got this PPI, then mention why in comments, yeah. Then I'm going to move ahead. Because focus over our webinar is to build your approach. In between, what happened, for example, triple talaq case, for example, Sabrimala temple issue. So Supreme Court gave some judgment. So there were some interpretations. So we keep an eye, keep a watch on what is being, done with respect to these interpretations. Okay, and it is not a big job. It's not like means we have to look after each case. Oh no, it is not like this. Only few cases are there in which Supreme Court interpret Constitution or expand its its application. Okay, so till we have clarity, जब तक हम पे क्लैरिटी नहीं होती, जब तक हमें पता नहीं होता जाना कहाँ है, कैसे जाना है, रोड कहाँ है, तब तक लगता है okay, this is all cloudy. It's not cloudy. The road is clear. It's just that you are looking in too many directions and not able to identify the correct road. This is it. Road is clear. PPI for polity. Now, what happened in Menka Gandhi case? Let me tell you. Because some of you said that you have attempted prelims. It means you have gone through certain cases in Lakshmikant, right? So one difficulty which students have with this, approach to polity, that they say, how to remember these cases? What was said in Menka Gandhi case? What was said in A.K. Gopalan case? What was said in Coelho case? What was said in this case and that case? How to remember these cases? And how many such cases we have to remember so that all questions we can do? Although Lakshmikant has a list. So all you need is to remember only those cases which are there in Lakshmikant. And it is not remember. Okay. Just go to the story of that case. Means, for example, Menka Gandhi case. I'm explaining you so that I can develop your approach to this question. For example, Menka Gandhi case. Okay, it is in Lakshmikant, right? So Menka Gandhi case versus Union of India. So one way is, which many people do, they just cram. रटने की कोशिश करते हैं. Okay, Menka Gandhi case, right to life to dignified life. Okay, education, okay, clean environment. But what if question is asked in this way? No geographical limitation. वहाँ क्या करोगे भाई? The way is, just go to the story. Why that case started, okay, and what was the outcome? दो ही तो चीजें पता करनी है. Why that case started and what was the outcome? What your Lakshmikant is doing, it is talking about outcome, not why that case started. Okay, so all we need to do, just go to the story, why that case started, and if we go to this why this case started, then outcome will be able to connect more. Means you will be able to retain easily, because now you understand this case like a story, like a movie. Let me give you a trailer. Menka Gandhi case. I hope all of you know who is Menka Gandhi, right? So Menka Gandhi is daughter-in-law of Miss Indira Gandhi, right? Wife of Sanjay Gandhi. Daughter-in-law of Indira Gandhi, wife of Sanjay Gandhi. Now, the point is, what happened? What is the story? So, one fine day, Menka Gandhi received a letter from passport office that, madam, please submit your passport in passport office, regional passport office. It means the letter was saying that government wants to impound your passport. It means you cannot go out of country. You cannot go out of country. That was the signal of that letter. Menka Gandhi again, sent a reply, and she asked from regional passport officer that you have sent me this letter and you have mentioned that I have broke that section 10 of Passport Act 1967, but on what basis you are using this section? I want to know the basis, why you are impounding my passport. Then regional passport officer again sent a letter to Menka Gandhi, and he said that we cannot give you the reason for impounding your passport for the benefit of general public. Then Menka Gandhi thought, okay, अब बताती हूँ इनको. Okay. Then Menka Gandhi filed a petition in Supreme Court saying that this letter by passport office is against my freedom of speech and expression, my freedoms mentioned in under Article 19. This is against, this my freedom, my fundamental right. So Supreme Court took cognizance of this. Okay. And Supreme Court said that. And she also said that it is also against my Article 21, right to personal liberty, right to life and personal liberty. It is my personal liberty that if I want to, move out of country, if I want to live anywhere, so I can live now. I can move. I can express. So that is one aspect of personal liberty, but the whole freedoms related to expression are mentioned in Article 9. So Supreme Court took the cognizance, and Supreme Court said that, yes, Menka Gandhi's point is very much correct. Supreme Court asked regional passport officer on what basis you are impounding. So he said, Judge Saab, there is a committee going on, and in discussion of committee is going on, and Menka Gandhiji should be present on this committee, and that is why we are impounding. So although we don't need to give any reason, because our constitution talks about procedure established by law. Means our government officer was giving this point in court that our constitution talks about procedure established by law. So judiciary should only look into the procedure. If judiciary is taking this case, then judiciary should only look whether regional passport office has used proper law mechanism or not. Supreme Court should not. Government was saying at the time to Supreme Court, this government officer was saying to the Supreme Court cannot talk about why this kind of law, why this kind of provision, why this kind of provision per Supreme Court baat na kare. Supreme Court should only talk about what is there if our letter was based on what was written. Procedure means process established by law, which is already mentioned in law. So Supreme Court should only check whether procedure was followed or not. But Supreme Court said, no, we are not going to stop on this. We are going to use due process of law. And what is due process of law? According to this due process of law, it says that law cannot be arbitrary. It means you cannot make any kind of law and say that Supreme Court can now check whether what is mentioned in law is followed or not. No. Supreme Court is not just going to talk about process. Supreme Court is also going to talk about content of law. Process is what is mentioned, how it is done, and content is what is written, why that is written, if it is against the spirit of constitution or not. So in this web, that is why I'm saying, that is why I'm having this kind of discussion in the first question itself. That is why it is said that Menka Gandhi case is among the most important cases in India's political history. Okay, we can say constitutional history. Okay. So this is what was happening. So I've told you why. Now outcome. So these were the 5 outcomes. So what were the 5 outcomes? One was, court said that I've told you Article 21 is procedure established by law. Such procedure must not be arbitrary or irrational. So court said that the procedure, whatever procedure is mentioned in law, you cannot make arbitrary any kind of procedure that you can just send a letter saying Menka Gandhi that impound, just we want your passport and we are not going to give you reason. You have to give reason. How can you say that you cannot give reason? So if this law is saying that you can take this passport without giving reason, then that law is wrong. Okay. The constitution framer, they said that constitutional framers never intended any law can be just focus on the process, not on the content. Our constitutional framers wanted that any law which is made in future in India should be fair, just, or reasonable. Okay. So why this passport officer and this department was so adamant on this stand? They must be having some logic, right? So what they were saying? They were saying that Supreme Court, just look into your previous judgment. There was a case, A.K. Gopalan case. In this A.K. Gopalan case, it was said that okay, this procedure established by law means जो procedure है केवल उसी पर focus करना है. मतलब this is the basic tenet, not due process. So due process also looks into content, not just process. So in this judgment, Menka Gandhi case, Supreme Court said that that was previous judgment, na A.K. Gopalan case. We are overruling that judgment. So by this logic, you got this, that Supreme Court can overrule its previous judgment. And Supreme Court said that now we are not restricting ourselves. Now we are going to look in process as well as content. And Supreme Court gave one fine judgment, one fine point also. And this is regarded as golden triangle of fundamental rights. What is it? Supreme Court said that Article 19, Article 14, and Article 21 should be read along with them. Along with them. For example, I told you, Menka Gandhi said it is against my personal liberty, which is mentioned in Article 21. Menka Gandhi also said that wherever I move, it is also my part of my freedom of speech and expression, Article 19. And equality before law, Article 14. How can you say that you are, impounding my passport and not giving me, legal reasons? How can you do that? So Supreme Court said that now on, 3 fundamental rights, whatever I'm sharing with you, can be asked as a statement in coming prelims. Okay, I'm repeating this again. Whatever I'm sharing with you can be asked as a statement in upcoming prelims. Okay. So in Menka Gandhi case, one outcome was that Article 19, right to freedoms. Okay. Article 14, which talks about equality before law, right to equality. Article 21, which talk about right to life and personal liberty. It said that they should be read along with other, and also every law has to pass this test of golden triangle of fundamental right. Okay, so if this passport act is, this provision is against one of the aspects, either Article 19, Article 21, then this section of our passport act won't be considered as correct, means it will be declared as null and void. Okay, so remember which articles are part of golden triangle of fundamental rights: Article 19, Article 14, Article 21. Okay, this is your takeaway. Another takeaway is in which case this golden triangle of fundamental rights came as interpretation. Remember the case, Menka Gandhi case. Okay, and you remember the story now. Okay, the court said that personal liberty should not be construed in a narrow sense. Okay, so court said that when you say personal liberty, it should not be personal liberty is, for example, UPSC asked this question, right to marry a person of your choice comes under which article? Okay, this was 2 years back. Right to choose person whom you want to marry, okay, comes under which fundamental right? Okay, so it is not written in constitution that constitutional framers were designing and saying, okay, in future there will be Anant and Ajin or Chandrasekhar, or they will be having some problem in marrying their lover, so let's give them this fundamental right. They can choose their partner, and if someone some family or something they are obstructing, then they can use this fundamental right. So it was not in mind of constitutional framers, but they use the word personal liberty. Okay, so right to choose your partner comes under personal liberty. So why that interpretation came? This interpretation came because court said that when you say personal liberty, it is broad. Personal liberty, it means there should be no restriction against me if I'm not harming society. I'm not against security and integrity of India. So I should have choice to move, to speak, to do, right? So 5th point was right to travel abroad contended in the Sawan Singh case is guaranteed under Article 21. So one point was that there was Satwan Singh, that was before Menka Gandhi case. So in that case, it was said that right to travel abroad is your guaranteed fundamental right under Article 21. As I told you, Article 21 talks about right to life and personal liberty. So it is your personal liberty. If you move out, if you want to move out of the country, you can move out of the country. That is your fundamental right. It was said that in Satwan Singh case. And this Satwan Singh case, this interpretation in Satwan Singh case was used in Menka Gandhi case also. Because in Menka Gandhi case, her passport was going to impound. So it was said that whatever this passport office was doing, this administrative officer was doing, that was unreasonable, malafide, and against denial of natural justice, and that is why ultra vires means we are declaring this particular section as null and void. This won't be applicable now on. Okay, Now, since you have understood it, right? Let me play a rapid fire round with you. Okay, Maza hai. I always want to check whether I've delivered what I want to deliver to my students. I'm making a statement. Statement is freedom to move abroad comes under right to freedom of movement mentioned in Article 19. This statement is true or false? Come on. The statement is false, because when we talk about Article 19, we talk about right to move within the territory of India, not abroad. When we say abroad, it is going to come under Article 21 under Satwan Singh case, right? Great. All of you have answered correct. So, coming back to the question, in Menka Gandhi case, the Supreme Court held that freedom of speech and expression has no geographical limitation. Yes, it is correct. No geographical limitation, right? Means she can move. Right to information is an implicit right under Article 19. Yes, when I say Article 19, when I say right to speech and express. So our Supreme Court said that a person can express only when that person is having right information. If you are not having right information, do you think you are judiciously using your right to speech and expression? नहीं, बकवास ही करोगे ना फिर तो, जब पता ही नहीं असलियत क्या है. So having right to information is necessary aspect of freedom of speech and expression. It means it is not explicitly mentioned, but it is implicit to it. Means it is part of it. It is derived from it. So that is why both statements are correct. Okay. Now, moving ahead. So I have told you PPI. Next, what approach I want to give you in polity. Always remember, polity is covered into two aspects. One is static, another is dynamic. Static and dynamic. When I say static, it means which is already there. For example, some article is there, some law is there, some provisions are there. Okay. When I say dynamic, dynamic means current aspects. What is happening in current affairs? Okay, that is dynamic. Many times, questions based on static provisions are asked on those themes which were in news. For example, when election of president was in news, when Mr. Ramnath Kovind, our 14th president, got elected, at that time, question was, there from president. When there was a case of removal of a high court judge of UP on corruption charges, although that removal was not done completely, but at that point, this removal of Supreme Court, High Court judge, this question was asked in prelims. Okay. So we need to be, sure of that whatever major themes of polity were in news in past 1.5 years, there's high probability of, question being asked there. For example, if we talk about now, you all know that West Bengal election was in news. Now, other elections were also in news. West Bengal was primarily in news. And there was news of model code of conduct. It means there is probability, because question has already been asked from here. Okay. And there is also probability of, changing statement and asking this kind of question. So let's attempt this question. Always remember that before going to the options, check what is asked. Means, is it correct or incorrect? Because in this statement, incorrect is asked. Means which of the following statements are incorrect. Many times students do this silly mistakes that they don't give due attention to this incorrect, and in this hurry, or they to question aa gaya hai, aata hua question, this is quite easy, and that's why they mark wrong options even after having right knowledge. So I don't want this kind of things happen with you. So bring this into this process, that before going to option, you are going to check what is demand. Okay. So it is to be in operation from announcement of the election schedule till the declaration of results. So when we say model code of conduct, so what is the duration? In which duration it is applicable? So it is applicable from announcement of election schedule till declaration of final result. Okay. So this is the duration of MCC, model code of conduct. So this statement is correct. Okay. This was in news. Constitution empowers Election Commission of India with judicial ability to penalize the violators of the model code of conduct. Now, this is asking incorrect. This second statement is incorrect. Why? Because Constitution does not talk about judicial ability of Election Commission to penalize violators of Model Code of Conduct, because Model Code of Conduct is not mentioned in Constitution. Even when Model Code of Conduct is not mentioned in Constitution, how can Constitution mention the judicial ability to penalize? So this ek to hota hai galat, ek hota hai sarasar. This is sarasar galat. Okay, this is sarasar category. So point is, whenever you practice some questions, okay, always remember, if you are attempting one question, it can help you attempt 4 questions correct in real exam. Why? Because you should not stop at this option. You should look, okay, we got this. This statement is incorrect. That is quite easy. Okay, because Constitution does not mention about Model Code of Conduct and judicial ability. Constitution, then you should question yourself, what does Constitution mention? What does Constitution mention in Article 324 when we talk about Election Commission? Okay, Constitution just says that there will be Election Commission of India, which will be responsible for what? Impartial, fair elections. So Election Commission is given this responsibility to conduct free and fair elections. Okay, and to conduct free and fair election, it is Election Commission which later got this procedure of Model Code of Conduct, because there was a time when there was no Model Code of Conduct. So if baat samajh mein aa rahi hai na aapko, so that is why the second option is incorrect, and we have to identify incorrect. So answer is second. But don't stop here. Look for what more can be asked in real examination. Okay, these are key provisions of Model Code of Conduct. You can always read. We're talking about approach, right? So now, another set of questions which are asked in polity and where some students commit mistake. Take this example. With respect to disqualification of MLAs under Representation of People Act, consider the following statement. Okay. First of all, what mistakes students do? Students go to take a first, second, third statement. They saw, okay, first statement is saying an MLA can be disqualified when he holds any office of profit under a union or state government. Now, what general mistakes students do? Students think, okay, yes, if MLA is on office of profit, then yes, this is a base. This is a basis for disqualification. This has been in news in case of 21 Aam Aadmi Party MLAs who were declared disqualified by Honorable President on the recommendation of Election Commission, and the charges were office of profit. So click kar gaya current affair. Okay. This statement is correct, right? But this statement is incorrect for this question. Why? Because this question is asking with respect to disqualification of MLAs under RPA, only Representation of People Act. Means this is asking about only those bases of disqualification which are mentioned in RPA, Representation of People Act. Okay, so there are 3 bases of disqualification of our MPs and MLAs. Only there are 3 bases, 3 broad categories. Okay, one is some provisions which are mentioned in Constitution. For example, this first one. So this provision, this basis of disqualification is mentioned in Constitution. It is under Constitution, not RPA. Representation of People Act is a second way, as a separate act made by Parliament under which there are provisions of disqualification. So question asks under RPA, but first statement is under Constitution. Okay, what is third basis of MPs, MLAs getting disqualified? The third basis is 10th schedule, means anti-defection law. So there are 3 broad categories. These should be imprinted in your mind. Whenever a question comes from disqualification, okay, this should be clear. Constitution, Representation of People Act, and anti-defection law. इसके अलावा कोई तरीका ही नहीं है disqualification. There's no other way of disqualification of MPs and MLAs other than these 3 broad headings. Okay. Now, second is under the Parliament disqualification rule, the detention of a person under a preventive detention law is not a disqualification. Yes, it is mentioned in RPA, because RPA says that consider this example. If Srija becomes an MLA, okay, Srija, from where you want to become an MLA, just choose one constituency, your area in comments. Just tell me so that I can make an example. Srija is thinking too much. I think she don't like politics. She don't like to be part of politics. Any other volunteers who want to become MLA? Just choose your constituency fast. I make these kind of examples to make better retention in your mind, because even if you read and if you don't remember, what is the use? Because ultimately we have to attempt questions, and for attempting questions we need to recall. For recalling we need to develop some kind of examples, interconnections. Okay, there is Shikhar, and Shikhar wants to fight from Rohini, Delhi. Okay, Shikhar. So consider this example that Shikhar got post of MLA from Rohini, Delhi, and he did massive corruption. Okay, more than what Lalu Prasad Yadav did. So due to these acts of Shikhar, he was charged. Okay, charge sheet was filed that yes, he has done this corruption, and he was given sentence of only 10 years. Okay, for 10 years, become a government guest in jail. Okay, but he's a MLA. Okay, you should remember this thing. So what is going to happen? If he will continue as an MLA, or there will be some action against him. Shikhar will be disqualified as MLA because Representation of People Act says that if there is conviction of sentence 2 or more years, then that person will stand disqualified. Same thing happened with Lalu Prasad Yadav. Lalu Prasad Yadav in Chara Ghotala got sentence of 10 years because 10 years is more than 2 years, and that is why his membership of Rajya Sabha was revoked. He was disqualified. He has this honor to use this provision of Representation of People Act for the first time. Okay. Then some of you might ask, sir, why is that certain politicians are in jail from quite long time, and they are sitting MLAs or MPs, for example, Mukhtar Ansari. So how can these people continue as MLA even if they are in jail? So let me tell you, because they are not convicted yet. They are under arrest because charges are serious, and there are some credible witnesses or proofs with the police, and on this basis court has given them this arrest, but the final conviction is yet to receive, and they play along with this line Tariq par Tariq. Okay, so I hope you got this. So second statement says that, okay, but when I gave example of Shikhar, so Shikhar was under punitive detention. When I say detention are of two types. Detention means you separate a person from common public due to some logic as per law. So there are two kind of detention. One is punitive detention. Punitive detention means you have done some action, and as a result of that action, you are going under arrest. That is punitive detention. Action has been done by Shikhar. Corruption has been done by him. Okay. Now, when I say preventive detention means, if consider the example of Ajin Raj. So Ajin Raj is a seasoned gangster. Okay, he's a gangster in his area. So what Ajin Raj did? So Ajin Raj has not done anything. He was a gangster. He was arrested. He was sentenced, and he came back home, and he has not done anything. But what happened? That when election was supposed to happen, SSP means Senior Superintendent of Police, IPS in their area, he sent some policemen to his home and said, just pick Ajin up and put him in preventive detention. So Ajin will ask, why you are putting me in detention? Why? I have not done anything. So IPS will say, yes, we know that you have not done anything, but we have some information that you might do something in elections. You might influence some people, you may threaten some people, and for security purpose, for prevention purpose, you have not done the action yet, but for prevention purpose, we are detaining you. So you should remember that preventive detention is not a case of disqualification. Okay, disqualification tabhi hoga jab Shikhar jaise bane. Now, she will be disqualified for failing to lodge an account on his election expenses. Yes, this is a basis of Representation of People Act, where you can be disqualified. It means if Shikhar has fought election of MLA from Rohini, but he has not given the account of how many expenditure he has done in this election, then this can be a basis of disqualification. This is mentioned in Representation of People Act. So it means answer is 2 and 3, 1 is not there, right? So what is our takeaway in terms of approach? Takeaway is, don't just remember the basis of disqualification, also remember the categorization, which disqualification comes under Constitution, what disqualification comes under Representation of People Act, what disqualification comes under anti-defection law. Next question is, which of the following statements are correct with respect to right to freedom of movement under Article 19 of Indian Constitution? We have just discussed that, right? It includes right to move out of the country. I've just told you that it is not correct, because Article 19 only talks about freedom of movement inside country, right? Next, it is available to legal persons like companies and corporations. No, it is not available to companies and corporations. It is available to individuals only. Okay. The state may impose reasonable restrictions on freedom of movement only on the grounds mentioned in Constitution. Now, with the third statement, what happened? Generally, people get confused with this word only. I have selected this question for this webinar to tell you that sometimes in polity, UPSC lay trap on these words like only, all. Some people might think, okay, it is saying restriction on freedom of movement can be imposed only on the grounds in Constitution. It means our parliament, it means our executive, means our ministers cannot put restriction on other basis. Only on the basis which is mentioned in Constitution. So some students think, yeah, only aage yahan pe theek hai ki nahi? Is it correct or not, since the word is only? But the statement is correct. Why the statement is correct? Just look at the provision which is mentioned in Constitution. Look at the provision. Provision says that restriction on this freedom can be imposed only on two grounds, which are mentioned in clause 5. The interest, these are the provisions: the interest of general public and the protection of interest of any scheduled tribe. These are the two provisions, okay, which are mentioned in the Constitution as the basis of restriction. Now tell me, what connotations you can have, what meanings you can derive from this phrase, in the interest of general public? Since it is said that in the interest of general public, and who is going to decide what is in the interest of general public? When Parliament can decide, ministries can decide, right? So in the interest of general public itself is an open-ended basis of putting restriction. You just need to prove that this is in the interest, this is against the interest of general public, this movement, right? So these are the two bases. And why this was in news? Because the FASTag was made mandatory. If you travel by your car through some toll plaza, the FASTag is mandatory. So it was said that since you are saying that it is mandatory, if I'm not using FASTag and you are putting my restriction on my movement, so it is against my Article 19, freedom of movement inside territory of India. So in that judgment, Bombay High Court said to that advocate, just shut up, because you cannot make any interpretations here and there. We are saying put FASTag so that you can speed up this process, this movement of traffic. Don't make silly things here. Ki FASTag is against my freedom of movement. Okay, put FASTag. So Bombay High Court was in news. This FASTag was in news. Freedom of movement was in news, and this only wala thing was in news. Was I wanted to deliver. That is why I've used here. If you got this, then mention confirm, because here only was correct. But sometimes UPSC deliberately make only so that make this statement incorrect. So we need to be aware on these points. Next is, there are some questions in polity based on committees. Okay, so what we need to know from committees and how this prelims question can be handled. First of all, you should know the type of committees we have in Parliament. This is mentioned in Lakshmikant Parliament chapter. Then you should also remember what is the composition. Who are the members? These are joint committee of Parliament, means Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha both are members. Or this kind of committee is only found in Lok Sabha, only found in Rajya Sabha. So you should look into these details. Then look into what this committee do. So if you develop this approach, then you are going to handle these kind of high probability questions, because Parliament is one important pillar in polity, and from Parliament many times questions from committee have been asked. Okay, from estimate committee has been asked, from PSC has been asked, right? So let's consider this question. Committee on private member. Why am private members? Question has been asked on private member bill. Okay, but I've made the question committee on private member bill and resolutions. So there's a committee on private member bills and resolutions. So statement wants to answer you. Statement wants that you should mark incorrect. What is incorrect? Okay. This committee on private member bill and resolution. Yes. So when I say private member, it means anyone who is member of parliament, but he is not a minister. That person is private member. Okay. If private member can also, propose a bill. Yes, private member can also propose a bill. Bill means rough draft, which this member wants that this bill should be converted into a law. Okay. Now, it exists only in Lok Sabha. Yes, this exists only in Lok Sabha. One of its functions to examine. So I told you, just remember which house, which house has this committee. This committee is found in both houses or only one house. Second, composition of this committee. Third, purpose of this committee. So now you can have a look that committee on private member bill purpose क्या होता है? It scrutinize करती है और time allocate करती है so that time can be allocated for discussion of this private member bill. Now third statement, why the third statement is incorrect? Presiding officer of the house is the chairman of this committee. This is incorrect. Okay, who is chairman? Deputy speaker is the chairman. So that is why I'm asking composition, who is member or chairman. So if you remember what is the need of which section of polity and even across the syllabus of GS, then it will be quite easier for you people to score well in this section. Okay. Now coming to next section. Okay. One question which was asked in prelims from economy segment. Consider the following statements about crowding out, crowding in economy. So there are two concepts, crowding out, crowding in. So I'm using this question because I want to tell you for economy questions, your approach should be concepts, application. Most of the questions will be from application side, not definition per se. Only few questions may be from definition. Most questions will be from application. For example, in your economy class, if you have read about, if you have learned about crowding out effect, crowding in effect, but the question would be, what is going to happen with this situation? For example, first statement is saying an increase in government borrowing can lead to a crowding out private investment. Now let me explain to you in a simple manner. Okay, what is crowding out, what is crowding in, and how to attempt this question. Consider an example that we are an economy and the total money we have is in this bowl. Okay, so all the banks which have money, the total money that they have is say 1,000 rupees. Okay, so earlier what was happening, government used to borrow from this amount only 30%. 1,000 ka 30% kitna hua? 300. And 70% of this amount means 700 used to be borrowed by private investors, means private companies, factory owners, traders. They used to borrow because when they borrow, they invest, they start their factory, they give, they produce products, they sell those products, they give employment, and when they earn profit, they give this loan back to banks, and bank also earn interest. That's how our economy works. Okay. Now, with this example, let's read first statement. Okay. An increase in government borrowing. It means now government wants to borrow more from economy. Okay. It means if government was borrowing 300 rupees out of 1,000 first, now government wants to borrow 500. Okay. We are talking about government here and we are talking about private sector here. Just tell me, if government is borrowing 50%, 500 rupees. Now tell me, now second part is can lead to crowding out private investment. Don't you think now private investors won't be able to borrow 700? It means their borrowing, now their borrowing is going to decrease. Now their borrowing is going to decrease because there's not that much money left for, taking credit, right? So that's why this private investors share will be crowd out. They won't be having that much part that they were having earlier. Now tell me, this first statement, is it good for economy or bad for economy? This is bad. Why this is bad? Because if private investors are not able to borrow more, it means now those people who are planning to establish new factories, now they won't be able to establish new factories. It means those people who are potential, who are able, who are having this probability that they will gain some employment, now they won't be having that much employment. It means this is a negative case, right? Yes, Reshma, very well said. Because of private investment, not borrow, no proper investment, employment generation decrease, right? You got it correct. Now coming to, that is why first statement is correct. Now let's check second statement, okay? Now second statement is saying an increased government spending tends to stimulate or crowding fixed investment. Now, increase in government spending. When government increase spending, for example, if government has declared that we are going to start 40,000 crore rupees worth Bharat Mala Pariyojana, in which we are going to build more highways. Then there is Sagar Mala scheme, in which we are going to build seaports. Okay. So if government is declaring that this year we are going to invest this much amount, we are investing more. So what is going to happen? If government wants to invest more, means if government wants to invest more, let me share this example. If government just want to invest more on this example, say building highways or seaports, don't you think if government is spending more on highways and seaports, it means government, our economy will need some of the products more in quantity, for example, cement, for example, steel, because how can you build infrastructure without cement, steel? You need these, right? Don't you think if some private investors, they heard this news, okay, government is investing more this year, government has declared in budget that they are going to spend more on highways, seaports, it means there will be more demand of cement and steel in economy, right? Okay, if there's more demand, it means I can establish my factories, means I can establish fixed investment. Fixed investment means that investment which is fixed in nature. For example, we are establishing factories, right? Machineries, we are establishing plants, right? Industries. So now why industries would have fixed investment? Why crowd in? Why in our economy, this is our economy. So why in our economy there will be more fixed investment? Because now they are sure that since government is spending, now there will be more demand in economy. Okay, and let me tell you, there will not be only demand of cement and steel. There will be demand in other sectors also. That's why fixed investment in other sectors also. For example, if some people are getting employment, large chunk of people will get employment on these highways, building projects, right? If those people are getting more employment, more income, government is spending more money, it means they are getting more money. If they're getting more money, more people are getting employed, what they're going to purchase? They're going to purchase more cars, they're going to purchase home, they're going to purchase shampoo, they're going to purchase sauce. There will be, this will be a butterfly effect. There will be a lot of demand. Since there will be a lot of demand, there will be demand of those products, and if demand of those products is there, means those factories will tend to establish themselves more, right? So this is why second statement is correct. So everything is connected to our daily life. Okay, it is just that sometimes we read some definition and we stuck in that, we think this is a big thing, although everything is cakewalk if you have the right approach and to connect to the root of this concept. Okay, now another set of questions which are asked in prelims, that questions on concepts, right? And some concept, what kind of concept? Because when I use this crowding in, so these are not some chapters. Okay, these are subtopics within chapter. And this kind of question is directly from a chapter. Chapter's name is inflation. Okay. So what I want to deliver to you is, there may be chances when question is from one kind of concept, crowding out, crowding in, but there will be some questions which have multiple applications, because question is asked from one chapter, and within one chapter there can be many subtopics, and applied part of these subtopics can be embedded into one question. Okay, so this is example. Now just attempt this question. I'm giving you 30 seconds to attempt this question. Your time starts now. Everyone has to attempt. No need to worry whether you will attempt right or wrong. Okay, just attempt this. Later I'm going to explain. First statement is saying lowering of policy rates by RBI. So question is saying which among the following is likely to be a cause of inflation. So inflation is already there. In when we say inflation, inflation means there is, increase in price of goods and services in a particular interval of time within an economy. That is inflation, mehengai, right? Now, first statement is saying lowering of policy rates by RBI. It will increase inflation or not? It will increase inflation. For example, take this example that Ajin wanted to purchase a car. Okay. He went to the showroom and he asked what is the price, and there were bank persons also present on the showroom, and they will say, okay, sir, interest rate is 11% only, and we'll give you loan. And by this loan, you will have EMI of say 38,000 only. Okay. So Ajin wants to purchase which car? Say Toyota Fortuner. Okay. Fortuner he wants to purchase. So EMI is 38,000 at interest rate of 11%. So Ajin thought, oh, it is, too much EMI. I suppose that I calculated that EMI should be, around 20 to 24. If around 24 it is, then I can manage. Okay. Or it is even till 28 I can manage, but 38 is way more. It is beyond my budget. So Ajin came back. Later, next day, what happened? RBI lowered the policy rates. What happened when RBI lowered the policy rates? It impacts on the interest rate on loan. Okay, I'm not going deep into the type of policy rates of RBI because it is not an economy class. We are talking about approach to economy questions. Okay, I hope you will understand. But understanding will be full and final. Okay, there will be no doubt in it. So impact is that interest rate on banks, interest rate on the loan given by banks will decrease. Okay. So earlier that interest rate was 11%, but now interest rate has come down to say 6%. Okay. So Ajin again got call from the showroom, sir, please come and take this Fortuner because EMIs have been decreased. Okay. Now tell me, Ajin is going to take this Fortuner or not? Because now EMI is under his budget. But how EMI came under his budget? Because RBI decreased the policy rates, and as an impact, interest rate on loan also decreased. Now tell me, is it only Ajin who is going to purchase the car, or these decrease in interest rate will lead to increase in overall demand in economy? Right? Because Ajin is going to purchase a car, Reshma is not going to stop. Reshma is going to purchase home. Chandrasekhar is going to purchase something else. Shekhar is going to purchase something else. So there will be a demand, increase in demand. If there is sudden increase in demand in economy and supply is same, because we have just decreased the policy rates, loan interest rate on loan have decreased, but supply is same. So what is going to happen? Inflation will be there. Because whenever supply is same and there is demand, what is going to happen? It will lead to inflation. This is what happened with bananas in Navratras. Recently there were Navratras and bananas were 70 rupees a dozen in Delhi. And before that, I was having at 40 rupees a dozen. So why this increase? Navratras. Is it Mata ki kripa? No. It is inflation. Okay, because in Navratras there was huge demand, but supply was same, and that is why inflation, right? So that is why first statement is correct. Second statement, Buyback of government securities by RBI from open market. So first of all, what is this government security? You can have this thing in mind that government issues a paper, and on this paper it is written 10,000 rupees, this much interest, and government give this paper and take money from market. Means 10,000 crore worth securities given to Reshma and 10,000 crore taken from Reshma. And government assured that since you have this paper, government security, you can give after this time, this we are going to, get our government security and we are going to pay you 10,000 crore plus interest rate. Reshma said, okay, it is fine. I'm going to earn something on my 10,000 crore. Now, what happened? Statement is saying buyback of government securities by RBI from open market. RBI now decided we are going to buy back. We are going to purchase this government security back from Reshma. So, because Reshma is an open market. So, when RBI purchased this government security, when RBI purchased this paper, so purchase happen only when some money is given. So RBI is going to give Reshma 10,000 crore rupees plus interest. So tell me the total, if at large scale this is happening, a lot of government securities are being purchased by RBI, and since RBI is purchasing paper and giving the real money in economy, the total money in economy will increase or decrease or remain same. Tell me in the comment. It will increase, decrease, or remains the same. It will increase. Shikhar, it will increase. Why it will increase? Since government is purchasing this paper back from Reshma and government is giving Reshma the real money. Government is giving these people the real money, these institutions, these banks real money and getting back the paper. So these people are now having more money. Since these people are having more money, it means market will have more money. Since market will have more money, it means demand will increase. When banks and Reshma have more money, so what they are going to do? They are going to purchase more. So when they are going to purchase more credit will be given. The purchase more means there will be sudden increase in demand. And when there is increase in demand, supply is same, it means there will be inflation. So that is why second statement is correct. I hope you got it. Now, third statement. An increase, yes, more money supply. An increase in Manrega wages. So this is what was in news few times back. Why that was in news? When this Corona first lockdown was there, government said that we are going to increase the Manrega wages, and government increased the Manrega wages. Why government increased the Manrega wages? Because some economists suggest that if you want that our economy bounce back, then we need to increase the demand. And tell me, in India, if we compare the number of people, more people are living in villages or more people are living in urban areas, cities. More people are living in villages or in cities. Comment villages or cities. Villages, right? Since more people are living in villages and many people are dependent on some kind of employment, they were in need of some kind of employment, because in cities, many people who were having job, they went back to their home. You all know what was happening in our country last year. There was mass migration, right? All of you know that, right? Now, what happened? Government said we are increasing Manrega wages. Why? Because now there are more people in villages, and when we increase their wages and we are engaging them in some capital, some infrastructure projects and some canals and everything, roads building and tree plantation, anything. So what is going to happen? Since now these people will be having money in their hand, they're going to purchase. They're going to purchase shampoo. They're going to purchase some eatables. They're going to purchase clothes. They're going to some of them are going to purchase furniture. So what is going to happen? Since they are going to purchase these things, means there will be a demand in economy. When there will be a demand in economy, then our manufacturers will be bound to produce more. When they are bound, why they are going to produce? Because now rural India has more demand. Demand is increasing because they are having money. When these manufacturers are bound to increase their production, when they increase their production, so production कराएंगे किससे? हवा में थोड़ा होगी production. Production needs to be done by some people. So there will be employment generation. So there will be more production. There will be more employment generation. So this will be having a positive impact on economy. And one factor was that even though it is going to have a positive impact on economy, but in starting, it would also lead to inflation because there will be a sudden demand, increase in demand. Okay. So that is why third statement is also correct. Okay. Now, coming to the fourth statement. Fourth statement is wrong. Why fourth statement is wrong? It is saying decrease in indirect taxes by government. Let's have this example. If something is of MRP 100 rupees, no, not MRP, the price is 100 rupees, and apart from this price, there is 5% GST. No, let's take GST 18%, make 18%. 18% GST. So now you are going to get this article in how much rupees? 118, right? 18% GST. Okay. Now, what happened? Government took decision. Let's decrease indirect taxes. Indirect taxes are those taxes which are levied on goods, services, right? So GST is one such example, right? So now government took decision. Let's decrease this from 18% to 5%. Tell me, if across the products, goods and services, if government has decreased indirect taxes, so what would be its impact on prices of goods and services? Prices of goods and services will decrease. Now this article will be available in 105 because 5% of 100, yani you have to give 5 rupees of GST and 100 rupees of the price. It means there will be decrease. So inflation will not be caused at that moment due to this policy action. And that is why answer is 1, 2, 3. If you got this, then mention yay in comments. Why AY? Now, this is about your approach in certain prelims questions. Okay, I'm going to talk about specific parts also. I'm going to come on that. But now, when it comes to mains, so is a difference between how you should approach your preparation prelims and mains? Yes, there is some difference. What the difference is? When you read something, some topic for prelims, you have in mind, okay, this set of questions are in demand from this part. For example, concept, application, logic. You can deduce some things. Okay, ये तो हो ही नहीं सकता, इसको हम हटा देंगे. Then बचे दो option, दो में से हम इसको select कर लेंगे. So these kind of approaches we use in prelims. But when it comes to mains, mains is all about expression. How good you write. Even if you know and you're not writing well in exam, then how can you score more? So you can score more by having apt expression. When I say apt expression, it means what is required. It's not that you need to be some, literary mafia. It means it doesn't mean that you need to be, Shashi Tharoor in terms of expression. No, this is not required in UPSC. It's not key you need to, bring that poetry kind of language. No, it should be direct, all dimensions covered, specific. Apart from this, subject-wise, there is a specific demand in questions or their answers. Let me tell you. When we talk about GS paper 3, economy, security, these kind of questions are there. Just read this question. Describe the benefits of deriving electric energy from sunlight in the contrast to the conventional energy generation. Okay. What are the initiatives offered by our government for this purpose? So first of all, you should know that this question has two segments. It means your answer should reflect two segments. One is comparing between deriving electric energy from sunlight, or second is conventional energy generation. Second part of this question is what are the initiatives offered by government for this purpose. Now I'm giving you 1 minute to visualize what points you have for this question, what you are going to write. I'm giving you 1 minute. Just think on that. When you attempt these kind of questions in school or college or your net exam, okay, someone wants to qualify for this PhD, okay. But when it comes to UPSC, the approach which is needed is altogether different. And it is demanded as per the profile which you want to opt. You want to be part of esteemed civil service. And the profile demands such kind of officers which are precise, authentic, and having attention to details. Your expression needs to be precise, authentic, and attention to details. Attention to detail with respect to what is happening, what is government's target, and what are the initiatives. Should be in your mind. Now take a look on this answer, which one of my student has written under guidance. So what I do, I give question, then they write answer. So most of the time I, cut the whole answer and then give specific comments what they need to write. Then they write again, and that's how they improve. Okay. Now take a look, and I want attention to detail. See what is different in this answer. Although still, there's a second draft, there's third draft. Third draft means where we need to focus on presentation, means color. Means black color can be used if you have time. When if you're not having time, then this kind of underlining with the same color pen can also be used. Now the point is, with the installation of 750 megawatt solar energy plant in Rewa, Madhya Pradesh, the government of India is acquiring sustainability in using clean energy under SDG 7U of UN. This is introduction. Introduction is like your entry gate of your home. If your answer is a home, you're welcoming the evaluator that please give me marks, khush ho jaiye. You're a guest, then your entrance should be, good, right? So entrance, what kind of entrance? What kind of introduction? Your introduction should have some angle of current affairs, especially in GS paper 3 or some policy questions in GS paper 4, also from environment. If you know the theme of this question is directly connected to current affairs. So if they are talking about solar energy, so it means if solar energy was in news, Rewa, Madhya Pradesh, this project was in news. So just mention this project. Mention the data, 750 megawatt solar energy project was there. Also mention which SDG goal we are achieving by these kind of initiatives. And you see, there's not much elaboration here. Solar energy is good energy and this is not bad energy, or solar energy is abundant in nature. We should take steps towards it. Bol bachan nahi. Specific introduction. These kind of introductions hit the mind of evaluator, that this student is not beating about the bush. This student knows the detail, knows the concept, knows the challenges, and know the approach, right? Then since this part is saying difference, whether describe the benefits of deriving some light in contrast. The word is contrast. Contrast means difference needs to be made. This is one keyword. You have to identify the keyword. And the word is describe, not evaluate, right? Describe. Yes, you need to describe. What are the benefits? And in the contrast. So contrast provides clean energy and renewable energy, produces harmful emissions from burning fossil fuels, no pollution, or you can say limited pollution, pollution increasing day by day, affecting lives on earth, freedom over the control of electricity, thus savage, no freedom over electricity control, longer life of equipments and lesser maintenance is needed, shorter and unpredictable life, more maintenance, reduce reliance on coal, natural gas, using natural resources that affect solar, water, air adversely. Now, second part was saying, what are the initiatives? Okay. In this regard, government has taken initiatives like, first, National Solar Mission to promote ecological sustainability growth. Now, just look at the brevity of this point. It means precise. It has not written that government has taken very good step by establishing solar mission, national solar mission for promoting. No, you need not to write too many words. If it can be expressed in 6 words, then mention 6 words. IREDA, Indian Renewable Energy Development Agency, or NBFI, for providing loans to renewable energy projects. Means if we want to establish renewable energy projects, then they need funding. So funding can be provided by this. Direct mention of name and its purpose. That's it. Creation of National Institution of Solar Energy. Establishments of solar parks and ultra major solar park projects, for example, Rewa. Then Srishti initiative, Green Energy Corridor, With the promotion of research and development, along with the strong financial support, International Solar Alliance is reaching heights with a large target of establishing now in the end target 175 gigawatt of renewable energy by 2022, which includes 100 gigawatts from solar energy itself, because solar energy is our focus. So by the end, when evaluator reaches the end, he has a connection. Okay, we started from solar energy Viva project. We talked about SDG, then we talked about contrast, then we talked about initiative, and we ended on the target of solar energy. So these are the kind of approach which you need in your mains answer. General understanding many people have. If you have given 1 year, okay, and even if you have not got right approach, but you have just attended some lectures, because some people have this strategy of delivering lecture, they complete the topics, okay, but we at Edukemy never believe in that delivering the topic itself, because of according to us, learning and clearing UPSC require two aspects. One is knowing and one is applying. Generally what happened, that coachings, what they do, because they have to complete the syllabus in a specific interval of time, and many teachers have the set pattern of teaching from past many years, which they have learned from their teachers. They complete the topics and they leave it to students that, okay, after you complete the coaching classes, just join our test series, and in that test series, join our crash course and join our answer writing program, and in that practice answer writing. So the whole process get delayed. Ab pata nahi kab wo fir after 10 months that coaching is going to complete, and when they're going to start this answer writing. Okay, so because there's a difference on the way students think. There are some students who get this easily. There are some students who have this different kind of orientation. They grab these things differently. So what we do, we focus on what is knowing and also on applying. So applying part is integrated in lecture itself. That is our teaching pedagogy. Means, for example, if we are teaching, say, polity part, economy, geography, environment, any part, history. So every teacher, we have this series of meetings, and we have this handwritten these notes when they are written. So these are given to a feedback loop. In that feedback loop, we evaluate, okay, we have taught this in this class, okay, we have covered this, and this is how we covered. Okay, what is the best way to cover that? Have we covered the main themes and also the applied part? Applied part means what kind of questions are asked are discussed within the class. What are the kind of questions are asked in mains are discussed within the class. What are the best ways to answer this is discussed in the class. What happens generally teachers do, they tell, okay, this is the question and these are the points. But when it comes to expression, students struggle. How will the exact expression look like? Since I have shown you this model answer, okay, now you have this fair idea. Okay, so next time when you're going to write answer on this particular topic, you are going to remember, okay, so I have to start from some connection with current. I have to be brief. If there is contrast, I can use this model, bringing a line and making specific point, not detailed points. Then since question has two parts, so second part should be clearly visible. That's how marks are gained. Otherwise evaluator in hurry may think that I have not covered second part, but I have covered second part. Second part should be clearly visible, should be underlined, initiative should be underlined, and I should cover at least 5-6 initiatives. That's how 5-6 initiatives I should cover. Since question is demanding initiatives, around 4-5 contrast I should cover. So that evaluator has this in mind. Okay, this person has already covered 12 points separate in nature, which distinguish the demand of answer. Then I should give marks. And in the end, I'm connecting to what is the requirement of the question, that is solar energy and the target. Don't you think this is the requirement of student, to know from the start whatever we are knowing, how to apply that in real exam? Not bol bachan. Now, take example of the second question. This is from IR, International Relations. So I also take political science optional, or within political science optional, there we talk about IR, International Relations, and International Relations I also cover for GS part. That is part of your GS paper 2. So in that, I was for GS paper 2 last batch. So when I was discussing this South China Sea, so there is this answer. South China Sea has assumed greater political significance in the present context. And why we are discussing South China Sea? Because two consecutive years, UPSC has asked question on South China Sea. So this question has been asked. Okay. So question is saying South China Sea has assumed great political significance in the present context, and question is saying comment. Now what we need to do? We need to do that. Sabse pehle, what does it mean that China is having increased political, this South China Sea is having increased political significance? Means there should be some events, right, which have proved that yes, South China Sea's significance has improved. It means need to connect with what happened, what is there. So that is why we connected first with 25% of the international trade route goes from there. What is the area? Whenever you are attempting, whenever you are attempting an IR question, I would advise, I would recommend, मतलब 100% करना ही है, इसके बिना आना नहीं. अपना चेहरा मत दिखाना इसके बाद, मतलब अगर ये नहीं करके आए तो चेहरा मत दिखाना, मतलब this is so much important. Okay, whenever you are writing IR answer, mention, just make a small schematic of map, especially these kind of questions when you are talking about South China issue and you have clarified, okay, South China Sea issue is having, between Spratland, Paracel Island, Spratland, Paracel Island, two islands in South China Sea. China says these are mine. Vietnam says no, these are mine. Brunei says these are mine. So why these nations are fighting over these two islands, Spratland, Paracel Island here? Because there are natural reserves around here, and China wants to extend its, influence also. So just make a roughly, but they make a diagram. Okay, just say, indicative in nature. Okay, this is China, this is Vietnam, there is Brunei, Malaysia, and there is South China Sea. So that, examiner know, okay, you know the area, you know that part about which you are talking in exam. And please don't take my comments otherwise when I say chehra mat dikhana, because this is my experience. When I use these kind of sentences, it hits the psyche of student that yes, this is of utmost importance. And generally students give feedbacks after that, we made this point that wo to banana hi, right? So that is my objective. So this objective is served. Okay. In recent past, the region has emerged as a geopolitical war at world order, considering the interest of USA in partnership with Philippines, countering the expansionist policy of China. So that you will be able to understand this when we read more about it. In brief, I can tell you, I can give you this example that India gave $50 million first credit line to Vietnam to purchase weapons. And Vietnam shows that they have stake in Spratland, Paracel Island, and a major chunk of South China Sea. India also, got this contract from this South China Sea area, which Vietnam claims, and we got contract to extract natural gas from there. Our company OVL, ONGC Videsh Limited, got contract on that. China said, how can your company come into South China Sea, this area, and extract natural gas? This area is ours. Then we said, no, we consider this area as Vietnam's, and Vietnam's Navy give protection to this area. So there's this issue. So what is the issue? So have this in mind that you can clearly show the issue in these kind of diagrams. For example, the simply schematic says that one issue is of resources. Why there is geopolitical significance? Because there are oil, fish, there resources. The tussle is on resources. Then fishing rights, because all coastal regions, these coastal nations have fishing communities which are dependent on fishing. If China takes over an area, it will negatively impact the livelihood of those people who are coastal or living in coastal regions of Vietnam, right? So that is why this is also important for the fishing rights of these communities of the coastal regions of the different countries. Then navigation routes, because these are important routes. So every nation needs their own navigation, route. Matlab, aisa nahi hona chahiye. When I say own, it means they don't want China to, exert over influence there, because China can hamper their navigation rights. And if their navigation rights are impacted, it means this can seriously impair their security as well as their commercial aspects. Okay, if earlier there were ships were coming easily because they were having navigation right. If China's claim is accepted, then China won't make it, China won't easily allow their commercial ships to flow from there. So what this is going to, have negative impact. USA's Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement, it means what USA is doing, USA is making, partnership along this Pacific and South China Sea. That's why it became is one of the, I can say, battleground to, China to, display that we are the major part of this area. So this is what I wanted to show to you, that in IR kind of questions, mention schematic diagram. And if you have 4 or 5 broad dimensions which you want to show to examiner, you can show in this way. Although you are going to elaborate about this, but this will, through this way, evaluator will know, okay, what is, what are the core issues of that area. So in a gist, we can say that as a conclusion point, we can say that for polity, you need concept and clarity on fundamental concepts of constitution and its provisions. Okay, sometimes what happens, options are closed, right? So clarity on fundamental concepts of constitution. Book, if you ask, Lakshmi Kant is one of the best book. Okay, some of the important aspects of polity on which questions are asked are this fundamental rights, DPSP, fundamental duties, parliament, and you should also keep a watch on governance aspect questions like Aadhaar, Legal Service Act, whatever is in news. So although we cover everything in our classes. Next, in economy, you should have basic understanding of topics like inflation, banking, then certain aspects of within these topics, deposits, commercial paper. Recently, question was asked in prelims on reserve tranche position. Current affairs section is also important. I've told you application of knowledge is important. So all the questions which I did with you, I displayed how application is made. When it comes to geography, questions from mapping portion are important. Means one question in prelims from geography is asked from this mapping. All of you know Syria has been in news. There has been question around the Syria. There has been question around the Turkey. There has been question around the Lebanon. So we know that from location question is going to be asked. So we should remember the adjoining countries of that location which is in news. We should know the adjoining seas in that area. What are the major seas in that area, major lakes in that area? Questions are asked on these. Means these are factual in nature. I'm telling you about boundaries. Conceptual questions are also asked. For example, tropical cyclone, temperature, jet streams. These can be easily covered from NCERT. Many students, skip NCERTs, but for geography, sometimes questions are directly asked from graphs, tables, and diagrams. Okay, so students, even if they read NCERT, they just focus on the content. Don't give, due attention to the graphs, tables, and diagrams. So I'm not saying question in prelims is of, graph or, table format, but the information which was there in graph, information which was in their table was used in that question. Okay, so I want each one of you on your best foot. Now, apart from this, there are other sections like current affairs, there's section like environment, there's section like history. So you should refer GS Toppers Hack. So GS Toppers Hack is a, is a compilation of Edukemy, is a short document, crisp document in which we have covered the trend. Let me show you that. Let me open that. Yes, this is GS Toppers Hack. Okay, so in this we have covered what is the weightage of different sections. Okay, how you should approach static or current. Okay, what has been the cutoff? Should you focus on cutoff, and how should you approach? What are the kind of range of the questions? Means difficulty level, easy, medium, difficult. Then how should be your section-wise approach in prelims? Geography, history, environment, science and technology, current affairs. Then when we talk about GS Mains, so we have also covered what should be your approach with specific portion. Art and culture में कैसे approach हो, history में कैसे approach हो, society में कैसे approach हो. So we have covered everything in detail in this document. This document is available on Edukemy website. I would advise that you should take a look and get a printout and keep it on your table and keep on referring to it. Okay, a lot of hard work and sincere analysis has been used by our team to build this document. So I would advise you to take help. Okay. Now I declare this session complete at this 8:30 as promised, and I'm open for any kind of questions you want to ask. Let's give 5 minutes to that. Okay. Is there coaching available for optional subject commerce and accountancy? Srija, for commerce and accountancy, we don't have optional at Edukemy as of now. We have PSR optional, which I take, geography optional, which Shabir sir take, who has been, you all know Shabir sir. Then PABAD is taken by Sunil Gupta sir. Okay. Yes, Chandrashikha, we have this kind of structure in Edukemy that along with foundation course, we focus on answer writing. We ensure that you are working on applied part. So we focus on, yes, we also have GS Mains test series, which are going to start in June first week. So you can take benefit of GS Mains test series also. And we have this unique positioning, what we are trying to achieve on this GS Mains test series. We are providing some classes also. Means before test, some classes covering some previous year questions and important themes for mains. And then you attempt your test. Chandrashikha, you can reach out to Edukemy number and they are going to help you on answer writing. Have you gone through GS Foundation course? Because GS Foundation course is a comprehensive course, and in that every aspect is covered. Means every domain, prelims, mains, core knowledge part, applied part, downloadable content, plus handwritten notes, because many students don't have good handwriting, so they themselves are not able to understand their handwriting, or sometimes they're not their notes are not well made. So we are taking care of that, and we have in every class our academic associates that make no handwritten notes along with each class. They're also given to you along with the downloadable notes, along with other references which are important from the exam perspective. And the lecture is not just about pravachan. Lecture is all about knowledge plus applied. So we have more focus on applied because that is how our results came. So this time around 220, around 218 or 20 students are going to give interview. The interviews are going to start. So around 218 to 220 students from Edukemy who are enrolled in main support program or foundation program or test series are going to take part. And from our own team, we have, we also, those people who have attempted interview previously or given mains, we take them as, part of our team to support in some evaluation work. So out of the 8 students who are working with us, 5 are going to appear in interview. So soon, as the merit list is out, we are going to display, proudly. Actually, I would say a lot of credit goes to the student itself because they understood what is the demand, of the exam. That is important because UPSC is not just about cramming. UPSC is not just about, covering topics. UPSC is about applied, how you apply. So here the teacher, the whole team, from content team to the teaching team, everything is, is in sync with this passion that every student matters. So you will get this feel eventually. If you have any doubt, you can shoot message in your class Telegram group, and within 24 hours there's a response. And if there's any doubt, there are faculties directly connecting with students. So this is the kind of atmosphere we have built. That is why we are having selections. So Srija, you can definitely clear exam in the first attempt. Okay. The point is the approach which I shared, just go with the approach, be part of this team. If you have any doubt whatsoever, then you can connect with me and share. So Shikhar is saying, thanks for your time and energy. I would like to spread this, spread the impact of this time and energy. So share among your friends, if whatever you got, if you share with others now, so it gets embedded in your memory more. Okay. And share the feedback of this session, what you got, in the group, if you have Edukemy group, or with the team, the people who are going to call you, so that they can arrange more this kind of session, so that you can connect more, you can ask more, and we can dwell deep more. Okay. So last but the most important thing, as all of you know, that COVID second wave is going. I hope all of you are taking adequate precautions, because that is very much important, right? So we cannot take things lightly. Okay. I teach you right to life and personal liberty, but right to life, you are going to claim for state, claim from people, afterwards. First, we have to take care of our life, right? So take care and keep learning, keep growing, keep smiling. Things are easy, things are fine. We always have a way. Okay. Things, look tough when we have no clarity. There is always a way to get into the rhythm. Once we are in the rhythm, things are set. So there's always a way. Okay. You can take care. You can connect with me whenever you have any doubt. We can schedule a call. We can schedule a session. Okay. Take care.